And it's pretty interesting to see this chart right here and then looking at the chart and seeing that, wow, I mean, it's like, it's almost exactly what we were talking about just a couple weeks ago, right? It's happening almost to a T. Today, the bull market has been christened with its first fake news FUD story of the year. For all you crypto veterans out there, you know it's not a real bull market until you get that major FUD story. And today we got a fake report coming out of Cointelegraph, Bitcoin double spend spotted in the wild. And you really can't make this stuff up. Where did this come from? It came from BitMEX Research. Yeah, that's right. BitMEX is the one that reported this. And leverage trading exchanges like BitMEX are the ones that benefit the most off of these crazy swings. Tons of liquidations taking place, tons of trades executing, and they're making fees, guys. Looking at the BitMEX Research tweet, Andreas, one of the leading Bitcoin experts, actually came in defense of BitMEX and said that it wasn't really their fault. They got their information somewhere else and it wasn't their fault for reporting it. But personally, I'm a little bit more skeptical. I'm pretty sure BitMEX probably knew what was going to happen if they reported a fake double spend. Andreas actually debunked this double spend story. He actually proved it wrong. And there's a long thread, there's a long tweet thread about his full explanation on this. And I'm in the middle of the thread here, and there's an interesting part where he says, because the original transaction is gone, the discarded block, the new transaction, the winning block, is the only real transaction. The blockchain has prevented a double spend by discarding one and only recording the other. And if you go down to the bottom of this thread, you can see that basically he's saying, consider it debunked. And if there's anyone you're going to listen to about this right now, it's Andreas. He is the leading expert on Bitcoin globally. So yeah, guys, this is FUD. This is fake news. And, you know, there are people reporting it, like Cointelegraph is reporting it, BitMEX Research. I mean, these people are, you know, just making money off of the attention from these big, you know, scary news stories. Always have some skepticism in the crypto market. There are so many lies, so much manipulation, so much market manipulation going on that you always got to keep an eye out. We know that BitMEX benefits the most off of this kind of stuff, this kind of volatility. So always be skeptical. And just to reiterate, there was no double spend that happened. So of course, now everyone's looking at the Bitcoin chart and they're going, oh my God, we're dumping. What is going on? What is going to happen to the price of Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin dead? If you guys have been watching my content recently, on January 14th of this month, I put out this prediction where I thought Bitcoin was going to trade sideways, then see one final dump to the downside before rallying up again to hitting new all-time highs and going up much, much higher in the long term. And it's pretty interesting to see this chart right here and then looking at the chart and seeing that, wow, I mean, it's like, it's almost exactly what we were talking about just a couple weeks ago, right? It's happening almost to a T. Now, of course, I did not predict the fake news FUD. I could have not known that was going to happen. This was actually just an extrapolation from the previous bull market. Let's go back to the previous bull market. And we're looking at Bitcoin down here in 2017. When Bitcoin had that first major all-time high break, we ran up for a few weeks, hit a peak, traded sideways, saw one final dump before rallying up again for the long term. Right? So just look at that structure, and now we're going to go over to where we are now. Boom, right? So I was basically just extrapolating that parabolic advance and putting it onto where we are now, and it seems like that type of market structure, something around that range, something like that, might be playing out right in front of our eyes. And I also want to make it clear, guys, that, you know, before you can make epic gains, usually you'll get put in a place of maximum pain, right? The market maybe the market goes down a little bit more. Maybe we touch like the 21-week EMA here, which could be coming in, you know, around maybe 25, 26K, like we've been saying on this channel, 26K. You know, maybe we do that, right? And it's going to be very painful for about 1 week down, and then we're going to recover for another week. In my opinion, it's only going to be about 1 week to the downside, 1 week back to the upside, and we'll be off to the races once again. So you might be put into a position of max pain. You're going to feel terrible, right? You might feel horrible. Personally, I'm not selling. I'm holding, right? I'm holding for the long term. In fact, I'm only going to be looking for buys at this point because, again, anything below $50,000, according to my prediction, is a strong buy opportunity. It is actually a once-in-a-lifetime, potentially a once-in-a-lifetime buy zone where we may never actually come back below 50K ever again once we get above it for real. So I'm confident in what's happening right now, guys. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary. We were actually talking about this exact scenario taking place, even though I didn't know we were going to get FUD. I was actually more bullish yesterday, right? I was actually looking for possible bounce yesterday, but it is what it is, guys. It's all very normal stuff, right? You're going to see this happen many times throughout this bull market. You're going to see all kinds of fake news, FUD. So another thing that I want to talk about right now that's very important for a lot of you guys, especially those of you that might be new to this market. You guys that are new to this market, you guys need to understand the psychology of what may be happening right now, what is coming. And you have to be mentally prepared for this. If Bitcoin does pull back to, let's say, the 50% fib retraces, which is what we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks as a potential, and now because of the fake news, it is happening, right? So let's say Bitcoin does pull back a little bit more. You're going to probably be pretty scared on this pullback. And as it's happening, as a pullback is playing out, your brain, because you're a human being, you have like a monkey brain that's set up for immediate survival. Your brain wants to survive right now. And you're looking at this chart as the minutes pass by, as the hours pass by, you're looking at this chart. And that's very hard for a human being to stomach sometimes, especially if they're new to this. It's going to be very difficult for you to keep calm because, again, your brain is set up for immediate survival. You want to survive now, right? Your brain is still like out living in the woods, right? The reason why trading is so hard is because the human brain is set up for immediate survival, and that really does impact your trading. So you have to sort of turn off your survival instinct and realize that things are going to play out for you kind of like in slow motion, right? It's going to be like, you know, a week maybe. Again, we don't have to go lower. We might not go lower. I'm just giving you guys an explanation here about the psychology. You're going to have days go by where we're like, you know, going down, right? The price is moving down and it's going to feel really grueling. But you have to realize that it's going to feel like it's in slow motion. But this is the area of maximum opportunity for Bitcoin. If we do pull back to those prices like 26K, which we may not. We may, you know, bottom out sooner rather than later. But if we do pull back further, you guys have to remember that it's only temporary, that this is just a temporary short-term swing. It'll put you in a position of maximum pain, and you just have to be able to stomach that, right? Just for a couple weeks, maybe. If you're new to the market, maybe for the next couple weeks, spend a little bit less time looking at the charts. You know, walk away from the computer for a little bit and, you know, come back in a week or two, and we'll probably be looking pretty good here, looking to push for new all-time highs. So it's just temporary pain. Something else I said on Twitter, I said, if you're new to the market, consider this your very first boot camp training exercise. Keep holding, soldier. The US dollar is being devalued. And we can see that the US dollar index is still, looking at the weekly chart, it's still not performing all that well. We actually pulled back during this week already. If the US dollar index does play out some kind of bounce from here, you know, maybe Bitcoin would consolidate for a little bit longer, but I don't think any bounce for the US dollar index is probably going to be short-lived because, as we know, Joe Biden, the new president of the United States, is actually planning to print, you know, trillions of more dollars to send Americans another $2,000, right? So I don't, you know, the US dollar is not going to have any long-term strength, not anytime soon. I think the US dollar index actually has more of a shot at, even if we did get some kind of short-term bounce, I think ultimately we're going to be headed down for an evaluation of potentially 84 here on the DXY. And that would be very, very good for Bitcoin, very, very bullish for Bitcoin. Bitcoin would see, Bitcoin could end up, you know, pushing up past 50,000 and seeing prices, you know, towards the 6-digit range if the US dollar index does start to fail support over the next coming weeks, months. I'm sure there were a lot of people that were unsure, that were scared of what Bitcoin was doing down here in 2017. I'm sure people were freaking out during this, you know, weekly dip. And just remember, it's probably just going to be short-lived. You're going to be put in a position of max pain temporarily, and consider it a mental training exercise. Turn off your survival instinct. Think about the long term. Consider buying more on this dip. If we get anywhere near the blue 21-week EMA, I would say that's a very strong buy at this point. And of course, Ethereum, the all-time high break was, you know, canceled at this point for now, just for the short term. I think maybe we'll trade sideways for a few weeks, and ultimately we're going to be breaking out once again. I mean, I have no doubts that Ethereum is still undervalued, and despite what may happen over the next couple weeks, month, whatever, I think ultimately we're going to be breaking out to much higher prices. And looking at Chainlink on the 3-day charts, you know, yes, we are pulling back. But if you're looking at it on the 3-day chart here, you can see that we're pretty much just retesting our all-time high areas. As long as we're holding those previous wick highs on the 3-day chart, I mean, ultimately, this is pretty constructive. This is pretty good, you know, and we're flipping macro resistances into support. And ultimately, long term, that's the best thing you can even ask for, right? So nothing has really changed here for these assets, other than Bitcoin maybe playing out another week to the downside before a recovery. And personally, I'm not trading this, meaning that I'm not trying to time the market. I'm not going to be sitting here trying to sell now to buy back a little bit lower. I mean, I think that's just kind of stupid and a waste of time. You know, just look to buy more, right? Just look to buy more. And guys, long term, I think we're going to be doing great. So just sit back, relax, buy the dip, and I'll see you guys in the next video.